I am also going to first though go to Valmik Thapar, naturalist and conservationist, who I spoke to earlier, because Valmik is one of the few opposed to this whole project. Valmik Thapar, you seem to be the biggest critic of this project to bring the African cheetah to India. What is it about this project that you're so strongly objecting to the mission of translocation? Remember, Valmik is writing a book on the cheetahs of East Serengeti, and he's done more than 40 books, an author, member of various wildlife task force, Project Tiger, among others. Valmik Thapar, why are you objecting so strongly to the mission of the translocation of the cheetah?
I'm not objecting to the translocation of any animal. If we want to bring African animals to India, we are very welcome to it. We have never had African cheetahs in India's history. In the last 300 years, there is no natural record of a cheetah family in the wild. So why are we suddenly bringing an exotic species to India? Tomorrow, Odisha can ask for African lions. Somebody else will ask for a zebra, another person for a giraffe. We are opening a can of worms, and there is no logic. I have not understood why the union government has been advised in this manner. It's wrong advice. Why do we need to get African cheetahs to Kuno Palpur? That's my question to anyone who wants to answer it.
But what is your biggest fear, Valmik Thapar? Is it about the cheetah's survival here? Where do you fear? What could go wrong, given that so much of effort has gone into planning this project over a decade now?
If you take Kuno Palpur as an area, it's an area which is a home for the Indian leopard, the occasional tiger, and lots of hyenas. All these three, leopards, tigers and hyenas, are enemies of cheetahs. If you prepare this landscape, 6,400 square kilometers, resettle the villages, what is going to happen? The leopard population will climb to 400 leopards, the hyenas will be in their hundreds, and both these animals will tear apart any cheetahs that you introduce. And you're planning 35 to 50 cheetahs in the next 5 to 10 years. The cheetah has no hope in this. It's impossible, the equation. Also, African cheetahs live on Thompson's gazelles. They live on small antelope in Africa. We have not prepared or rehabilitated black buck herds. We have not rehabilitated Indian chinkara or four-horned antelopes. So what are the cheetahs going to run after? I don't suppose it's going to be spotted deer and sambar deer in the forest. So we have an area with lots of problems by introducing an exotic species. Our indigenous species will suffer tremendously at the cost of introducing an exotic species. So I am very, very wary of it. But if this is what our wildlife scientists and advisors to the government have persuaded the government to do, then we will all watch it. It will be the challenge of a lifetime, because forest officers will be spending 24 hours chasing these animals to ensure their survival. And there's a big question mark to their survival, because I have looked at these cheetahs every year in the eastern Serengeti.
You know, the experts though behind the project say that the leopards have been removed, the cheetahs are being brought into the area as prey for cheetahs. You seem to be suggesting that all these efforts won't work, that this is not sustainable. Am I correct that you, even before your first reaction is it's not sustainable?
It's not true. The leopards jumped into the cheetahs' small enclosures where cheetahs will be housed before they are released. Those leopards have been moved out. There will be at least 60 to 70 leopards in the wild of Kuno Palpur, and they will be interacting with cheetahs. This is not the correct way to look at this. When finally the cheetah is released into the forests, they will have to deal with their number one enemy, which are leopards. And just like you want cheetah population to go up, so will the leopard population go up. And what are they all going to feed on? Where is the breeding farms for the prey? How are you going to import Thompson's gazelle? Are you going to import Grant's gazelle? What are you going to do with the food for these cheetahs?
But, you know, this has been a mission long in the making, conceived when the UPA 1 was in power. Jairam Ramesh was Environment Minister, went to South Africa, I think 2009, and supported now by the Modi government, by wildlife experts across the world. Surely all of them can't be wrong?
My opinion, as a wildlifer who spent 47 years working with big cats, I am saying that this mission to bring cheetahs has no logic, should not have been undertaken. If people want to take on this challenge, they are very welcome. I have no great objection, but it makes no sense to me at all. Both the governments have been advised by different people. The first decision of the government, which was the Congress government, was not to bring cheetahs. Then Shri Jairam Ramesh changed that and supported bringing in cheetahs. That's his problem. He has to understand wildlife much more than he does. My understanding of wildlife, and as a friend of wildlife, this is not in the interest of Indian wildlife or in the interest of African cheetahs. That's my opinion.
Is there an alternative plan, though, that you would have suggested? Any other plan that could have brought the cheetah here, which went extinct in 1950s? I know you're saying that it never, that the cheetah in its present form is not indigenous, but do you have a better plan?
I have no alternatives for the cheetahs. If we had any cheetahs in the past and all the promoters of this plan said that there were Asiatic cheetahs, there are only 15 to 20 Asiatic cheetahs left in the world in Iran, and they can never come here. So I do not want to set a precedence in this country. I am not in favor of that, to bring African cheetahs here, because tomorrow there will be a demand from different state governments of bringing other African animals. And why should we not look after our animals first? We have snow leopards, we have endangered species of birds, we have smaller mammals. They all require money and care. We do not require multi-million-dollar projects which have no sense, they have no logic, because we never had African cheetahs in this country.
A concern, of course, is the conflict with humans. Would you cite that to justify your stand that we do have villages coexisting in such reserves, unlike in the Serengeti, where you have miles and miles of savanna with no human habitation?
It will be a big concern, because in the larger landscape of 6,400 square kilometers, there are nearly 150 villages, and human beings will have to be resettled. The livestock population will be under threat. There will have to be a huge amount of effort to reduce and minimize the man-animal conflict. And we are adding another huge problem to our forest department, which is already overstretched and dealing with multitudes of problems.
Would you, though, support translocating, let's say, the Asiatic lions from Gir to Kuno, which was the original plan, move them, because there are lots of them in Sasan Gir in Gujarat, move them to Madhya Pradesh? That was shelved due to strong opposition from the Gujarat government. Would you have supported that?
Yes, I support a small population of Asiatic lions in Kuno Palpur, because the second population of lions is important so that no disease can wipe out the first population. Also, lions in Kuno Palpur will not be attacked by leopards or hyenas, whereas cheetahs will be attacked by leopards and hyenas. So they are two different things. It's how you look at big cats. I do not know how governments have rationalized a home that was meant for the Asiatic lion to suddenly become the home of the African cheetah. Please, someone explain to me, because in my brain, I do not understand it.
Those are very, very strong
And don't forget village dogs. We have to get rid of all the village dogs, because village dogs as a pack can tear the cheetah apart.
My final question, what you seem to be suggesting, conserve animals first that India is home to, don't bring species from other parts of the world. Am I correct?
My view is that we should look after our indigenous species, and when we have to restock them, we must find a way to do that with our indigenous species. We do not need to introduce African cheetahs, and all the promoters of the present plan have never advocated African cheetahs. They are now saying there is no difference between the African cheetah and the Asiatic cheetah because the DNA is very close. But they never said this before. So we are great at making rationales, misadvising governments to doing things which are highly complex. This is a highly complex project to undertake, considering all the problems we already face in the field.